Yeah, so my name is Juliet, and I'm also known as Mom Academia. Yeah, like a mom, an academic, and someone who is also trying to navigate tech and helping other people do the same as well. Okay, so I'm going to be talking about developing a global mindset, the value of cultural intelligence, and intercultural competence. I know it's like a lot of buzzwords in there, right? Cultural intelligence, intercultural competence. Yeah, you will get to understand what these meaning are. And in the course of this presentation, I would be making references to some of my experiences. I'll be making references to, some case studies. I'll be drawing on lessons that we can learn from um, different things, like what we'll be learning actually. I'll be drawing on lessons, and maybe I would also, give floor, as in give opportunity for some interaction, but I don't know how possible that would be. We'll see about that anyway. Um, I don't know if I'm a storyteller. Do I consider myself as a storyteller? Maybe, maybe not, but I consider myself more as a teacher. So if you feel like the session is more of, like a lecture, please understand that I've been lecturing for the past 14 years. All right. Okay, so in this session, I tried as much as possible to keep it within two key points that would be taken home from this session. Number one, what is cultural intelligence and intercultural competence? So I'm going to help us to understand this. And then we are going to see practically how to demonstrate cultural intelligence and intercultural competence. So some time ago, I saw this tweet from an influencer on Twitter, now X, and he said he made reference to the World Trade Organization Director General, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, and here is what he said: How Okonjo-Iweala stays dressing like a Nigerian in every appearance, while speaking like a Nigerian in every appearance, and commanding global respect, is the ultimate example for the Nigerian child. So I thought this was going to be like really interactive because I wanted to hear from you. What points do you think you can take away from this statement about the WTO Director General? Is it possible to see comments? What points do you think you can take away from this? Yeah, I would, if you can flag the comments, I don't know, team, if that's possible for you to do, that would be very helpful. What points? Okay, yeah, please go ahead and type your response in the chat, and I should be able. Oh, okay, I see it now. All right, I see it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So please go ahead and let me know. Mm-hmm. Okay, I see a strong sense. Charis says a strong sense of personal identity and healthy self-esteem. I agree. Yeah. Just look at that statement. What points do you think you can take away from the statement? Personal identity, healthy self-esteem. Thank you, Charis, for your response. Any other person has something else they want to add? The courage of being Nigerian, authenticity. Awesome. That cultural relevance and influence is not limited to people who dress or speak a certain way. This means it's possible to represent my culture at the global stage excellently. Thank you for that detailed response, Princess. I appreciate it. And thank you for your response, Amarachi, as well as Chiamaka. Thank you so much for your response. Okay, so from all what you said, you are really correct, okay? But here is three things that, for me personally, I take from this. Authenticity, just like what Chimamaka said, cultural awareness. which is related to what Chari said about personal identity, and global relevance, which is also represented in the statement by Princess Eno. Authenticity, cultural awareness, and global relevance. So when I look at Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala like this, those are like the three key things I see. I see someone who's got authenticity, somebody who is comfortable with her expression of culture. I see somebody who who is just authentic, like she doesn't need to fake herself or try to mold herself into someone else just because she wants to fit into a system. And then look at the portfolio she holds. She's the Director General of the World Trade Organization. That's a huge portfolio to hold because you literally control the economic system of the world, right? If we do not know Okonjo-Iweala before now, we may feel like, okay, maybe she were of a different culture, right? Or from a Western society. And she's always on maybe her suit, her blazers, and all of that. We may feel like that's how, somebody who would hold that portfolio would always dress. But looking at this figure, looking at how well she expresses her culture, right? How well she's not ashamed of her accent, because of course she would have her Nigerian accent, right? How well she's just doing everything and doing it excellently, not at a local stage, but at a global stage, is something that should bring to mind. Um, you know, what exactly is she doing? This is something that helps us understand that it's possible for you to be culturally intelligent and to also have intercultural competence. So, in the next few minutes, I'm just going to explain what these two terms are. And then this should be able to resonate, around what I've just shared about Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. So, what is cultural intelligence? I try to keep it really simple here so that I don't sound theoretical like a university lecturer. So, cultural intelligence here is the ability to understand and to adapt to cultural differences. Today, we find ourselves in different spaces. We find ourselves, navigating different spaces, different culture, dealing with diverse set of people. What makes you culturally intelligent is that sense, that capability that you have to understand. That's to first of all understand yourself, be aware of your own identity, be aware of your own cultural, you know, features or values, and at the same time be flexible enough or willing enough to adapt to those of others. That's what makes you culturally intelligent. That's what we refer to as, or that's what I refer to in this presentation as cultural intelligence. That ability to understand and be sensible enough to adapt to the cultural differences of others in whatever space you find yourself. How about intercultural competence? So this is the ability to communicate. So this time around, it's not just you understanding your culture and those of others, but this time now is the ability to express it, to communicate it, to interact effectively and appropriately with people from different culture. So cultural intelligence is one thing for you to be aware. It's like psychological, right? For you to be aware of this intelligence, for you to be aware of the ability to understand other people's culture. Then intercultural competence is that ability to communicate it to others and to do so appropriately. You may be wondering, anybody should be able to do this, right? Are there cases where people display, maybe people are not culturally intelligent? One thing that, or one example I can easily think of right now where people display a lack of cultural intelligence and even this intercultural competence is I will refer to Instagram. So I'm very sure some of us know that there are a lot of people who cook on Instagram, right? There are a lot of people who cook on Instagram, like other Instagram chef this time around. Yeah. You'll see where somebody is trying to maybe make a certain dish, but because that dish is not being done in the exact way that the originating culture, like in the exact way that people um um whose culture that dish originates from, because the dish is not being done in that way, you see comments like, this is not how we do it, oh, please don't spoil our food for us. Are you really being, or is such comment really displaying cultural intelligence? I don't think so. Really, I don't think so. It shows that in as much as, yes, you understand your own culture, you're not flexible enough to adapt to what other people are doing. So maybe we can try. I don't know if anyone here listening to me has been, or not, is guilty of this, but maybe from this lecture, if at all you don't take anything, let's always try to sit down and ask ourselves, this comment I want to make on this post, does it make me culturally intelligent? Do I, from my comment, do I display that I am interculturally competent? That's something that we should always try to think of. You'll see why this is necessary as we proceed in this conversation or in this lecture. So why do you need to have the CI plus the IC? So the CI here refers to cultural intelligence, IC refers to intercultural competence. Why do you need a combination of both? The world is no longer just the four corner of your house as you know it. With the internet, with our devices, the world has, you're now, in fact, you're living in a global space now. Whether you realize it or not, you are part of a global space. So having the CI plus the IC is going to position you for success in a globalized environment, whether it's in business, whether it's in education, whether it's in your personal interactions with others. When you display a sense of cultural intelligence and intercultural competence, you are going to be more positioned for success. All right. And then how do you go ahead to demonstrate this? Two things, or two key ways to do this. One is to find your purpose, and secondly is to communicate that purpose to the world. How do you find your purpose? One thing I like to do is, or one thing that helped me to find my purpose was that. Okay, so going on to explain the point about how to be culturally intelligent and how to demonstrate intercultural competence. I think it all starts from finding your purpose. I think that is actually where it all starts from. Finding your purpose. How do you find your purpose? For me, one thing that worked was I asked myself, what do I really find exciting? What's that thing that no matter how much I'm tired, no matter how much I am um fatigued, or stressed out or anything, what's that thing that I find myself doing that still gives me joy? What's that thing that I don't mind, you know, how do I even put it? People reach out to me directly or indirectly to get help with. So which means what's that thing that I can give out and get paid and people will pay me for it, right? Who really am I? So I've tried a couple, in fact, in this small life that I have been part of, I've tried so many things, right? I remember right from when I was in uni, I started out with doing like a non-profit for on in a project for persons with disability. I still remember that idea Nigeria. That was initiative for youths with disabilities empowerment and advancement. So worked with the team to try to empower people who had special needs. But then I found fulfillment, from it at some point. I did find fulfillment. But later on, I found that in as much as I was getting fulfilled, I was also very dissatisfied because I was the one, or my team and I were the ones who were funding the project. So it means that the project was not getting the buy-in from the society. It was not getting buy-in from the several stakeholders that we thought would be part of this project. And so rather than finding fulfillment like fully, I began to feel very uncomfortable, very dissatisfied and everything. And then one day I honestly called my team. In fact, I called my team to like an honest meeting and told them, hey, this is not working out, right? For us to pursue this passion, for us to really help other people, there have to be other, support from different system, different network. But you see that we're struggling with it. It's a lot of struggle and all of that. So we actually all decided to, move on to other aspects or other things that gives us joy. And that was how I moved on to teaching, but this time not teaching secondary school but teaching university students. And that was how I went into the world of research, and that's the world I am still in currently. Although I've tried, in fact I'm still trying and still navigating and still experimenting with several aspects such as tech and different things. Actually, all of this is in the bid to do what? Find my purpose. So what I will encourage you to do is have an honest conversation with yourself. Ask yourself, who are you? Look at the mirror, ask yourself, who are you? And then when you're able to find your purpose, stay true to that purpose through your activities, through your speech, through your words, your work, everything. You just try to stay true to that purpose. And when you found that purpose, what should you do? Put it right inside your pocket? No. Communicate it to the world. If you do not communicate your purpose to the world, then you may struggle with, being authentic. Yes, you have to stay true to your purpose. You may struggle with being authentic if you don't communicate it. Because, look, yeah, there were times where you just have to do what you can do and people would look for you, right? Now, you need to tell people what you do. That's the world we live in. You need to tell people what you do. Okay, let's get back to Dangote, for example. We all know, yes, that Dangote, in fact, it's a given already. Everybody knows that Dangote is the most richest man in Africa, right? But then, did you notice that even when he still came out with his refinery, he still went out there telling you? You remember where people were even using it like meme and saying, if Dangote can advertise his product, who am I not to advertise my product? If you don't sell yourself, if you don't communicate your purpose to the world, then nobody really cares so much about that. Yes, you'll be making impact, but you'll be making impact in a limited space, not in a global space. But remember that you are in a global space, you are living in a global space. So that's something that we should never forget. Find your purpose and communicate it. So, yes, the next thing I want us to talk about is, how do you communicate this purpose? There are several ways to do it, but I listed out 3 ways that kind of worked for me. 3 things worked for me. One, invest in your digital footprint. Your digital footprint refers to who are you on the internet? How do people get to know you? Like if someone Googles you, or even anyway, these days now they just put in ChatGPT and ask. If someone, try to GPT you or Google you, what would they find about you? So if you want to communicate your purpose, one way is to invest in your digital footprint. Document your works. Tell your story authentically. You can do it through a number of ways. You can write content if you're good with writing, you can do video. But the point is just that thing that you know is your purpose. Keep saying it, keep communicating it to the world. Use your internet, use your device for that, good reason or for that purpose. Communicate it. Write your story. Tell it authentically. Create a digital portfolio. If it's like you have maybe creative works or different things you've done, create a digital portfolio. Join relevant spaces. Most of these spaces now are online. Relevant online groups, that align with your purpose. Join them. Share your story. Little drops of water make a mighty ocean. By the time you keep doing this, from time to time, you will see that you would actually, be building a strong digital footprint such that when somebody is looking for something in that area, they'll reach out to you because you're going to pop up. That's why I like SEO. The more you keep building on content, the more you keep putting out stuff on the internet about you, and about certain things about you, maybe like particular mission you are on, you just keep saying, something around a particular theme. When someone is looking out, when someone who is actually your audience is looking out for um um something around that theme, that mission, that vision, that dream that you're always talking about, you will pop up. You will pop up. But it's not going to happen in one day. It happens over time. So what does that mean? It means that you have to invest in it. It's why I said invest in your digital footprint. I did not say create a digital footprint. I said invest in it. So it's wanting to create and it's wanting to invest in it. It's wanting to keep populating. It's wanting to keep being consistent in what you do. Two, network. Networking can be done in person or online. There are a lot of networking platforms. For me, I prefer LinkedIn, especially. I actually prefer LinkedIn because that is where networking has really worked for me from. So talk to people. We are talking about how to communicate your purpose. Talk to people, right? Meet people in person as much as you can. When someone asks you, "Oh, who are you? Tell me about yourself." Instead of saying where you are from, how old you are, the food you ate in the morning, you rather tell them what interests you, what your mission is in the world. That's how to answer the question, who are you? Or tell me about yourself. You never know who is watching. They used to say your network is your net worth. You don't know who is watching. So feel free, go out there. I know, yeah, I respect the fact that we have people who are introverts. But yes, even though you are introvert, you still live in a digital space. You live in a global world. So you can't just survive alone. You still need to go out there as much as possible. Try to go out there and network with people. Okay. The last is intellectual footprint. Attend events that align with your purpose. Genuinely listen. And when you attend this kind of event and you listen to, for example, events like this that Bookshelf is hosting, this Intellisphere, attend it, right? Genuinely pay attention to what is being delivered and ask genuine, straightforward questions. That's one way to also show cultural intelligence. Yes, for example, maybe you have an opportunity to ask questions, right? You see where some people roll around beat around the bush, say a lot of stories and all that before they ask the question that they should ask. So when you attend this kind of event, you learn from it. You write what you've learned down. You document, put it down. Not just for the sake of writing, but for the sake of implementing some of the things that you've heard, especially the things that you feel will take you to the next level. And then ask questions. Those things will help you to communicate your purpose to people. So, I'm one person who is very practical. I like to be really practical about whatever it is I do. So, when we are talking about communicating one's purpose, there are several ways to do that, like I said already. But doing it practically, I found two things at least that worked for me. Number one is my CV, the quality of my CV, and my LinkedIn profile. Actually, I used to say some LinkedIn is a new CV, whether we like it or not. LinkedIn is a new CV. But then your CV, your curriculum vitae, is also something that speaks for you when you are not there when you are absent, somebody asks and says, "Oh, send me your CV." It's something you should have handy, something that should be very updated, that clearly communicates who you are, that shows your experiences, that show your competences, that shows your ability to work in diverse settings, that shows um um your intellectual competence. Is something that you should have handy. I remember where here as a PhD student, I worked with one of my, yeah, as a PhD student here, you have the opportunity to work with professors, and then they pay you for the work you do. So there's one of my professor who was looking for somebody to get on a project with her. And I was sitting one day, and then I just saw an email like from one of my supervisors, and then she said, "I'm connecting you with this person, and they need help with some project." And then the person whom I was connected to, immediately she just asked, "Okay, let me have your CV. That this is the project, the kind of project they're working on. Let's have." And immediately I sent the CV to her. And she was amazed, and she was like, "Wow, this is really rich." But imagine if I did not have something handy to communicate my abilities to. So this is something that you should have handy. It's not until you are looking for a job opportunity before you create a CV. Try to document, your skills, document your project, document your achievements. Do all of this, put them in one place, because you just never know when they can come in handy. And these are things that I used to tell people you can do it yourself. But if you feel like you can't do it yourself, well, yeah, there are organizations, there are experts who are able to communicate with you and create a really good portfolio or CV for you. Yes, Academic Hive, which is one of the companies that I founded, can do that for you. So feel free to reach out to them, and they can help you create a mind-blowing, authentic CV that communicates your authenticity to the world. The next is your LinkedIn profile. The LinkedIn profile is also one place that, I mean, all among I choose LinkedIn for this session because among every other platform, I see LinkedIn as a platform where you can actually display your intelligence. I don't know if anybody has a different I don't know if anybody has a different view about that. But I see LinkedIn as a place where you can actually communicate your intelligence. Because other platforms, there's a lot of I don't know how to use the word shenanigans or things that people are just very carefree, sometimes insolent and all that. But I've observed something that the same people who are very loud and lousy on maybe Twitter or X or Facebook, when you go to their LinkedIn profile, you see how they are well coordinated. You see the way they respond to posts. They are very coordinated. So some people who cannot, keep up with that level of intelligence on that space, they come back and say, "Oh, LinkedIn is for boring people," or "LinkedIn is for people who are pretending," or "LinkedIn." No, it's not about pretense. Remember what we talked about, um cultural intelligence, right? The ability for you to respect the spaces of others, for the ability for you to respect other people, to understand who you are, be flexible enough to adapt to other people. That's intelligence. So culture is not until you respect, oh, because you are Igbo or you are Yoruba, you respect outside person or anything. No. Social media also has its own culture, right? So if you want to display cultural intelligence as well, I think LinkedIn is that place where you actually demonstrate that. And that's why for me, I have this very special place for LinkedIn in my heart. All right. So yeah, I've talked about the CV. I'm not going to give like a CV masterclass. That's something else I do differently. But yeah, your CV should be one that displays your skills, your achievements, your expertise, your experience. It should form your professional image. Someone should be able to read your CV and have a sense of your professional image. It should be well communicated to them. And in your CV, always put your best foot forward. Always put your best foot forward. Okay. And then for the LinkedIn, I've talked about LinkedIn. I've explained some of the amazing things about LinkedIn, right? So for LinkedIn, for you to be able to communicate your competency really well on LinkedIn, use professional headers, right? Create a LinkedIn account. I actually advise anybody who wants to move forward, who wants to really display, cultural intelligence at a global level, to be very serious with LinkedIn. Use a professional header. What would be a professional header is fine, you have your name. If you always look at LinkedIn, when you have your name, there's always something below the name that shows who the person is. Now, there you write, maybe if it's a job you're doing, the job title that or your job role, or who you are, professionally, the core skills that you have, and highlight the key value that you can provide to someone. Then next, highlight your achievements in the sections. In your summary, write about your achievements as well. Your work experience, instead of just writing the work that you did or the responsibilities that you carried out in your workplace, write some of the, yeah, it's okay to do that, but write mostly, let it be an achievement based description. Try to write the things you have achieved in different settings. Your education, why you say, oh, you got a master's here, or a PhD here, or a BSc here. Also try to, highlight some achievements from it, so that somebody can look at it and know that, oh, this person is really competent, and this person can transfer this competency to several cultural contexts. You also try to get some of your colleagues to, provide recommendations for you. LinkedIn has a section for recommendation. If you go to LinkedIn, you see a section for recommendation. Let me see if I can share maybe my LinkedIn page, my LinkedIn profile, so that you get to see what I'm talking about. Although I want to believe that some of us already understand what I'm saying. Let me just see if I can share. Let me present another screen. So I'm gonna stop the screen and then share this other one. I'm going to share this screen, which is my LinkedIn screen. Aha. Great. So this is my LinkedIn profile, right? So this is me, but this is my header, right? My header is, I'm a researcher, I'm a product and project manager. Oh, these are my skills actually: product and project management, digital marketing. Now, here's the value that I provide. I provide inclusion for African scholars and talents through access to vital information, services, and opportunities. Now, if you go to the summary section, like the about section, you can see here, I say, welcome to my page, and then I write about what I do, right? I write the values that I can deliver. I give some link to my resources. And then do you see the achievements? I got this, I won this grant, I was featured in here. And then if you need more of this, consult a one-on-one session with me. So my point is, communicate your value to people on LinkedIn. It doesn't have to be long like this or lengthy like this, but communicate your value. Let people go to your profile and say that, oh, this person delivers value. If you go down to the experience section, sessions, you will see, the things that I do there. And I said it should be achievement based, right? It should be achievement based. And when you do that, to also include evidences. For example, here my job as a graduate research and teaching assistant, I put my CV there. For Academic Hive, I put, what I've done or what I do. And did you see the achievement I also mentioned here? In 2021, we're nominated and awarded Academic Influencer of the Year by. So always try to, my point is, when you write, when you try to communicate what you do to people, as much as possible, communicate your value, communicate your achievements to them. The recommendation section is in the last part. Have you seen the recommendation sections here? So let people also try to endorse you. Actively ask for recommendation. Go ahead and ask for recommendation from people. These are people whom I've partnered with to teach in I think sometime in 2022, I used to be really active on 2021, 2022. I used to be really active um, providing master classes, trainings for lecturers across university. I've done that under the Association for Commonwealth University, where I taught grant writing. I also taught how to be visible online as a researcher. I did also some, collaborated with some professionals in different universities, and then after the collaboration and all of that, I had them, just endorse me, write something about the experience of working with me. So if I want to now reach out, I'm very sure these things helped when I was looking out for my scholarship here. It showed that yes, I had the ability to work with different educational providers. But when you are not communicating this value, how will people actually know what you can offer? That's something to think. That should be a food for thought. So let me go back and share this slide. So show up consistently. Still talking about LinkedIn. Show up consistently. Make posts. Connect with professionals. React to topics. Okay, LinkedIn shouldn't be a scary place. It should rather be a place for you to demonstrate your intercultural competence and your cultural intelligence. So in conclusion, what I'm saying here is find your purpose, communicate it, be visible. Yes, blow your trumpet, blow it loud and clear, because if you don't blow it, it's gonna get rusted and nobody's gonna blow it for you.